Every person who invests in well-selected real estate in a growing section of a prosperous community adopts the surest and safest method of becoming independent, for real estate is the basis of wealth. These are, of course, the words of former US President Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, but before we begin, let me say welcome to another super edition of Trek Talk. I remain your host, Ara Nimi. We're here as always to inform, to inspire, to educate and promote the large community of entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, billionaires in diverse sectors and across Africa. Today I have Mr. Emeka Okonkwo with me. He is the founder and CEO of DIS Spaces Limited. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
How do you feel, sir?
I feel good, I'm alright.
Okay, permit me to say you are actually very cute. I really understand that you're really sought eye in business. You've achieved so much and you have built a legacy. But let's get to know a bit about you. Who is Emeka Okonkwo? Let's get to know your background and basically some things about you.
Right. My name is Emeka Okonkwo. My background is IT. So I went to school studying philosophy in the University of Lagos whilst I was an IT engineer. Back then it's called an IT engineering. So I was into networking, IT networking back in the day. From there I delved into database called SAP, which I studied in the United Kingdom. So I further went to do my second degree in the United Kingdom, as well as a master's degree as well, where I became an entrepreneur. So I have an MBA in entrepreneurship. So after working a few years further with SAP, I found myself into real estate. However, prior to that, I had already delved into other parts of business. For example, I started with trying to go into media, digital magazine. It's called Radio Magazine Nigeria. So it didn't do too well. I had issues of working with some personalities who didn't really encourage me to go further. So trying that for about a year or two, I put a hold on it, and then I found myself doing real estate. So I had a mentor, or rather still have a mentor, who talked me into real estate because I was supposed to have I was supposed to be living in Lekki Phase 1, and being a neighbor, a next door neighbor, we got chatting and he advised me to put up my house as a serviced accommodation with his understanding that I live in the UK. So talking me down through the amount of money that I'll be generating from the business, it made a lot of sense to me. So I gave it a go, broke down my personal house, and then I built a serviced flat of about 12 flats. So concluding that project in 2016, I started off as a serviced apartment provider, which is what they call the shortlet today. So over the years, it's been taking all my focus in business. I've grown from one service apartment building to 5 buildings in the island, and 2 of them in Sabah Delta State, one in London and then one in Atlanta as well. So since 2016, it's just been what I do, and I had other different parts of accommodation business that I also moved into, ranging from co-living spaces, co-working spaces, and then recently I've delved into developing restaurant spaces and lounges as well.
You actually have a very huge experience right there. So, but now, based on your vast experience, how would you describe the commercial real estate market? What makes commercial real estate different and unique in the real estate industry?
Right. Commercial real estate, it's more or less the retail part of real estate. You know, as an entrepreneur, I find it very interesting and more lucrative, if you like, because it's a very major aspect that holds cash flow. You know, and as an entrepreneur, I'm all about profit. You know, in Nigeria, being a focused market, specifically on the island, Lekki Peninsula, a lot of people build residential spaces, they sell it, make profit, build another one. They're called developers. You know, but the commercial real estate is more focused on retailing spaces, like serviced accommodation that is being used for shoplets, commercial spaces for shops, stores, malls, and all that. And then you have also a condominium, which is like what we have here, my latest development. Commercial real estate gives a very vast array of cash flow, in the sense that the shortlet part of the commercial real estate, it gives you a flow of cash like weekly, monthly, and if you are an entrepreneur that's very good with money, very good with how finances work, you will understand that cash flow, it's a major advantage when it comes to any business. So commercial real estate, I find it very, very interesting and more creative, if you ask me, because it gives a particular edge when it comes to investing and reinvesting financial growth specifically. You know, if you understand how commercial real estate works, you will be able to take the advantage, because it gives you a kind of relationship when it comes to banks, lending houses and all that, because you can easily express the fact that you can repay back loans, you can be able to meet up with any form of financial obligations that you can come up with.
All right. So, Mr. Emeka, apart from the serviced apartments that you have, which is like the short-let business, we see that you are also into co-living spaces and co-working spaces as well. Can you tell us more about that?
Right. Co-living spaces is like a small or large community of people, not necessarily like minds, coming together, living in a facility. You know, it is also a very or a cheaper form of accommodation, where people take up just a single room or a shared room, or, you know, together, you know, depending on the space, and then tend to pay a little cost. Startups prefer that kind of accommodation because it is a kind of accommodation where you pay for only a period of time when you need it. You know, many people are becoming minimalists today, and that's the kind of accommodation that they require. Now, focusing on co-living spaces apart from the service apartment, it's an emerging market, especially here on the Lekki Peninsula. You know, I see Lekki Peninsula stroke Ikoyi as the California of Nigeria. You know, Hollywood, if you like, where people, every young person wants to be. Some people, they come together in a co-living space if they have a project that they want to work on in that area. So instead of paying for a hotel or a serviced apartment, they could decide to co-live together while they are people of like minds, or, you know, it's a place or community where young people can come together, live together, and then, you know, just grow from there. Co-working, a community as well, where people come to work for a short time. We offer services of you can work 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, get a permanent desk, hot desking, stuff like that. You know, people come around instead of paying for offices.
Also saw that you have restaurants and lounges.
Yes, we have a growing chain of restaurant and lounge called the Balcony. You know, so the idea is, since we moved into our development design of a condominium, where we want to have a co-working space, co-living space, service apartment in one building, one facility, we thought about having a restaurant and lounge, you know, just so we can complete what it says, that people can live, work, and play.
In clear terms, in simple words, what would you say informed your strategy to target this segment of real estate, talking about commercial real estate?
Right. When I was developing my first building, I got to a point where I needed funding. And I realized that if I get funding, of course, I have to pay back over a period of time. Now, enjoying the fact that as I pay back my loans, I am being offered more of it. So I decided to take advantage of the fact that if I go into a new project, I'll get more loans and funding. I'll be paying back. As I pay back, I get more. As I pay back, I get more. And to be honest with you, there is absolutely no profit in commercial real estate. The only advantage there is if you take advantage of the cash flow. Cash flow do not necessarily mean you're making profit. But you're exchanging hands with your lenders, the banks and all that. You tend to keep a very good relationship. So the only way to make or to measure success when it comes to commercial real estate, it's compounding your developments, your buildings. The more you finish one, you build another one, you build another one. The assets is more or less what you call the profit, but not like specific cash or financial profit where you have some certain amount of money out of the business every year or a particular period of time saying this is my profit. No, your profit, your assets, your profit comes on the assets you grow. The more assets you build, the more you can be able to measure your success.
All right. So I'm really very interested in your entrepreneurial journey, specifically some of the achievements that you've had in this business. Right.
When you speak of achievements, I don't think there's much other than the growth of my business. I mean, the challenges are there, but the fact that I'm still growing, no matter the pace, I think is the only achievement you can see.
Okay. So speaking of challenges, what are these challenges that you face as a commercial real estate person?
Majorly, facility management. The facilities faces a lot of challenges, like where you deal with irresponsible artisans. They're chasing the disappointments that comes from them, and then and facility management as well, the people who work for you, the employees. It's a very big how do I put it, it's a very big pain for every employer, especially in the commercial real estate. HR has a huge gap in the commercial real estate, hospitality as well, because people are unstable in this particular industry, and most of the time you employ people, you think they want to work with you for a long term, and then all of a sudden they don't just turn up for work, and then you go back looking for someone. It's a big challenge, and facilities has to be operated 24 hours. Whenever there's a short gap or any fall in number of employees that you have at the moment, it really affects the facility, and then in turn, on a large scale, affects the business as well.
Okay, so I know you mentioned like quite a number of challenges that you face. So how do you manage these challenges? How do you solve them?
Working with professionals, HR. So one of the strategies I apply is to work with freelancers. You know, there's this idea that the younger generation don't want to work for no one. So I came up with the idea of contracting them and making sure I have them at a sure supply, which is working with a professional HR person who source these people that work for me. So I tend to cut that gap of someone not just turning up or just don't show up for work. So professionally, I work with third parties who bear these, the burden and stress or whatever comes out of it.
All right, so let me move to the next question. Now, with the level of success that you have achieved, what operational policies and core values make DIS Limited distinct from other companies in the real estate industry?
Swift service and making sure that our customers return to us again. And it's got nothing to do other than making sure our facilities are working and we deliver the message that we put, on our door, which is creating a comfortable work-life balance for people.
Alright, Mr. Emeka, I must admit that I've been having quite an interesting chat with you, but I think I skipped something from the beginning.
Okay.
DIS Spaces Limited. What is it all about? Where did you get the concept for that brand name?
Right. DIS is Designed Information Services.
Okay.
So as I started off earlier on, I was into IT, IT professional. So at a point where I had to own my own IT firm, it's called Designed Information Services. So working with that brand name, and as soon as I found myself as an entrepreneur, I decided to use the name DIS for every other product or every other venture that comes up in my entrepreneurship journey.
Interesting. Now let's get to some of your failures. There are ups and downs.
Of course,
in every venture in life. So let's get to your greatest failure in business and what lessons have you learned so far?
Right. My greatest failure in business is because I lived abroad, for a while, and wanting to do business and live in Nigeria, I picked up my business plan, moved into the Nigerian market. But my greatest failure is not studying the people, understanding that it's totally different from what is obtainable out there. A very good example is when I read the book of a Nigerian politician who's also an entrepreneur that I admire. His name is Aki Alabi. I think the title of that book, if I remember, is called Selling to Nigerians. So in totality, whether you're doing business or selling anything, it is totally different the way you do it with Nigerians. So one of my greatest failure was coming into the Nigerian business world without understanding how the people's behavior, lifestyle, and everything affects the way you do business with them or the way you sell with them. So I had a very big, huge amount of failure with expecting and trusting that people do things by the book, or even when you work with them virtually, you expect them to just deliver without having any form of security or anything. So it was a huge failure for me, and I really learned my lessons over the years about it.
I think that's it's worthy to note that for whatever you're venturing into, it's important to have an audience analysis. You need to know the people that you are dealing with. All right, so with entrepreneurship comes risk.
Yeah.
So what is the most courageous risk that you have ever taken?
Right, the most courageous risk that I've ever taken is loan funding. So I took and I'm still taking huge risk with putting up my little available assets as against the loans that I'm taking.
As a commercial real estate expert, I think you're in the best position to put us through on this next question I'll be asking. Because what makes an area, an environment, fit for business purposes? The reason I'm asking is I've seen quite a number of people who set up businesses, who rent shops to do business in certain areas, and they feel like there's no market. So what exactly went wrong?
Right. As a facility developer in commercial real estate, the first thing anyone should consider is their target audience. You don't just maybe rent a space or lease a space just because you can afford it or you feel you want to do business. You have to make sure that your target audience should be able to connect with you at that location and space. It's very, very important.
With Nigeria ever increasing populace,
Yeah.
how can we foster youth involvement in this industry value chain at all levels of the society? How do you think we can do that?
On one aspect, which is the need for accommodation spaces. People should be encouraged to go into mortgage, or rather the banks should take responsibility to grant people mortgage. That way the youths can grow into, becoming real estate owners as well, I suppose. And then on the other hand, the need for real estate or for residential houses is also growing. The youths can invest, not necessarily on a high end, but in what we call real estate investment trust, where a pool of resources can be put together and then you see a development or a real estate company grow. Now, real estate investment trust will give room for the youths to understand that with little investments they can take part in real estate businesses and developments as well. And this is so simple, where a lot of people around can come together, form a real estate company, putting their resources in different forms, either by a monthly contribution or as they earn, or as they wish to invest in, little by little.
If I get your final words, tell us one fact about you.
Fact.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Right. I like to move.
What does that mean?
Stagnancy is a very negative energy to me personally. And when I say I like to move, traveling is a major part. But even on the ordinary, if I stay in a place for too long, it really affects me mentally.
Okay, so speaking of you liking to move, I believe that by moving you get to meet people. So I want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
This is the part this is like the part that I actually like best during interviews. You're going to tell me 6 makeup materials.
6 makeup materials.
Yes.
Makeup, lipsticks.
1.
The face brush.
Okay, the brush.
Yeah. And then there's the eyeliner.
Okay, eyeliner 3.
Beauty blender. Okay.
Yes, it's a beauty blender.
Yeah. That's 4, right? There's usually a small mirror.
Okay, well, I can just give you like half.
Okay. Makeup kit.
I'm going to give you a 4/6.
Okay.
I mean, so you
At
really
least
tried. It's
more than an average.
Yes, I mean
suppose.
that's to show that it's not just all about real estate now.
Right.
You know the bit of that. So before we go on the show now, because we have actually come to the end of the interview, but do you have a final word or advice, suggestion, recommendation on how an aspiring developer can venture into commercial real estate?
Right. First, it depends on the targeted market. Commercial real estate is all about spaces. Making it commercial means it's being retailed. Young person or whoever wants to go into commercial real estate, first they have to pick whatever they see as a niche. Some people excel in letting agencies, for example. Some people excel in buying and selling. Some people excel in building and selling. Some other people excel in, building and subletting for short lets, long term, whatever. So I think it really depends on where they find their strengths. And if they do find the strength in any of these, they can focus on that and then gradually build up themselves. In terms of funding, which is usually a major part of it, whatever parts they choose to go through, some of them or a lot of commercial real estate businesses almost requires no money at all to start up. I mean, the digital world, digital marketing, if you like, has really changed a lot of things. People can sit down in their house, create a commercial real estate outfit, communicate with people, build a very good audience, and then take pictures of properties, commercial real estate properties, and post it, whether it's theirs or not. And then they tend to be people who want to resell or maybe get money through referrals as well. That's one.
Yes.
Another one is you can decide to work with a developer. They're developing the building. Yes, they really need to sell. You take pictures, make videos.
I think a lot of youth are actually doing that today.
Exactly. Yeah, shotlets in the last 1 year has been a gold mine for people, because with a lot of people understanding that they don't have to own a house or even stay in a hotel, but actually stay in a good apartment for a short period of time.
Yes.
The need and the demand grew so high. So apart from people building, developing, some other people buying and putting out for shotlets, there are people who are like agents. They take pictures of beautiful apartments like mine, and then put it online, and then people contact them. They want to stay for a short period of time, and then they contact people like us. We serve their guests, we pay them a percentage of whatever the person pays. They're making money through that without even investing any money as well. And if you also want to invest, it's quite easy. There's a whole lot of them, a whole range. I'm currently writing an ebook where people can learn different ways on how to go into commercial real estate. Yeah, I'll be publishing it very soon on my Instagram handle.
Alright. We can't wait to see that actually.
Very soon.
Okay, so your final words to every entrepreneur out there.
Well, it's the usual classic one. Never give up, believe in yourself. Sounds a little bit stale, but cliche, but then it's still something you still need to take along with you. Yeah, that's it.
Alright, Mr. Emeka, it was really nice having this conversation with
Likewise.
you. Thank you so much for joining me on Trap Talk.
Thank you very much.
We have finally come to the end of today's Trap Talk. Don't forget, we spoke with Mr. Emeka Okonkwo, who is the CEO of GIS Spaces Limited. He's a commercial real estate expert. And before we go, I will take you back to how I started. Don't forget that the surest and safest method of becoming independent is through real estate. Why is that? Because real estate is the basis of wealth. Thank you so much for joining us today on Trap Talk. I remain Aranimi. Don't forget you can connect with us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Trap Africa. Or visit trapafrica.com/traptalk to get featured for sponsorship and for partnership. Thank you so much. Keep trapping and imagine more. Bye for now. Trap Africa. Imagine more.